Hey folks, we are in Germany in an area called the Black Forest. And German word for that is Schwarzwald, which means Black Forest. And it's the month of June. Temperate climate region, relatively moist, and so we have an area with dense forest. It's a mixed forest. I imagine you can see the pine trees, but also the deciduous trees. So the coniferous versus deciduous trees, they're both mixed in this area. And what I want to talk to you about today is these kind of things over here. You see my hand shine in the sun, but I hope especially that you notice this blob of sediment. And if we look on the side of it, we see that from that blob of sediment here, there are roots in there, and there's the remains of a tree. And if you keep on looking behind here in the forest, so that's uphill, you see many of those. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, more than a dozen easily in this area over here. And if I look down the hill slope, then I see a lot more. I know you can see them too, including the one over here. Very clear example. Also the tree pointing that way. That happens to be north where we are now, so the sun's coming from the south. But that makes this the perfect place to talk about a process called tree throw. So what has happened here, either after a disease in the forest, or because the forest was weak for another reason, but certainly because there was a huge storm, huge wind, all of these trees at the time, or many of these trees at the time, were all blown in the same direction. And since they were still alive, and since they were still connected with their roots to the sediment, the root wad, as we call it, root wad, W-A-D, was blown over as well. And so trees all went in the same direction that way, and so the root wad also was constantly produced in the same direction. And behind the root wad, we see a depression. See that little hollow over here. All of them are the same. This one had its same depression as well. Of course, the steeper the slope is, the less depressed the depression is, if you catch my drift. But those two elements, root wad, so a mound, and the depression behind it or to the side of it, the hollow, those are very characteristic for tree throw. Tree throw is a completely natural process. Many trees, this happens relatively often to trees. I'm going to show you the most extreme example down there over in the back over here. So all of this is a natural process, and what excites me about it right now is that we see so many of them at the same time that we can really easily assess, visually at the very least, how impactful this is in terms of sediment movement in a forest at hillslope. These are non-trivial amounts of sediment that are being sort of moved around by this falling tree, pulled out of their original context and being made available for further downhill transport. If you imagine the wind not coming from the side, but the wind coming from the top, especially of the hill slope, which of course also happens on occasion, then trees will be blown downwind, down slope. And their effect, the immediate effect on sediment transport, would be even larger as well. So it's not just making this material easily available for further erosion, transport and deposition, but it's also on occasion, if the wind is from the right direction, the actual immediate pull out of a lot of material and pulling it over to the downhill, the downslope side. And in some cases, in some settings, if you think of increased storminess, quick tree growth, regrowth, and so on, the kind of trees that really quickly make a big root wad, if you imagine a few settings or a few elements of a setting, then you can quickly sort of visualize a geomorphic environment where that is actually the dominant process of downhill sediment transport. In more realistic cases, it is simply a substantial contribution. Of course, we're always talking about forested hill slopes here. So Black Forest, you should go here, absolutely, and tree throw. Of course, in my lab, we've been building computer models that simulate tree throw. So I'll link up that publication in the comments. Hope you get a last view of some of them over here, and then that's it for today. See you.